Hey, remember when J.J. Watt was running in the dark and rapping on camera? That's part of what you can get now that the NFL is providing free access to NFL Game Pass for you, the fans. Watch full game replays, previous seasons of Hard Knocks. Vontae Davis saying, can I call my grandmother? Jamal Lewis getting injured season 1? Or do you just want Saquon? Do you want Mahomes? All of what you can get right now. All you got to do is sign up. Get more information if you want. Go to NFL.com/Game Pass.
See Patrick Mahomes there. I heard a rumor that somebody on our show is comparing him to Michael Jordan in a little bit. Don't go anywhere. At GMFB with your tweets. Time for some you just thought. Believe it or not, Kyle.
Ding.
Our brand. Okay, not bad. I feel like it's getting a little better. I'm just getting numb to it. That's okay. Let's talk about the Chargers, right? So they said that they love Tyrod Taylor. That's their guy. Then they draft Justin Herbert. But before they drafted Justin Herbert on that Thursday, weeks ago, it seems like years ago, did they think about drafting one Cam Newton? Well, here's head coach Anthony Lynn.
Absolutely. Cam's a tremendous quarterback. He's been MVP of this league. He's led his team to the Super Bowl, and he's healthy now, from what I hear. So Cam's going to be on somebody's roster. He's going to help somebody win a few games. But, yeah, we did take a look at that for sure.
And yet they didn't sign him. Nate, interesting. Let's talk about this. Believe it or not, the Chargers are better off with their current quarterbacks than they'd be if they signed Cam.
Yeah, they're better off without him. And this isn't me being dismissive to Cam Newton. I just feel like it's okay. It's okay to sit back, relax, and not be on the team. For a long time, we have known Cam Newton, his name to be synonymous with the Carolina Panthers. And now he's sitting back. It's almost like being single again. If you look at what they have in Los Angeles with the Chargers, Tyrod Taylor, who has a certain skill set. He's a smaller quarterback. He's going to take care of the ball. They bring in Herbert, who is tall, a different skill set. He can grip it and rip it. That's what they need, and that's going to fit them. That's going to fit what they have coming up on the roster as far as the talent at the wide receiver position that Herbert can throw to for years on. With Cam Newton, it's okay to be single. It's okay not to date. It's okay to sit back. Just because you're single doesn't mean you're not wanted. I said this all along. Cam Newton, who's been banged up, how about you just sit back, relax, make sure you are 100%. The fact that Anthony Lynn said, I believe he's healthy. I think he's healthy now. I mean, he wasn't even sure, and I don't think we're even sure. But if Cam Newton sits back, takes care of his body and his mind, he can return to the game on his own terms, bigger, faster, stronger, and even better. So this is better for both of these guys.
Anthony Lynn said it himself. Said we took a look, and then we didn't do it. Cam is a massive figure to bring in. We can't overestimate that. And I just don't think coaches want to deal with it, especially if he's going to be a backup, especially if they don't know what they're getting physically. You understand? Cam moves to L.A. He's walking down Melrose with a giant hat with a quill in it, getting TMZ'd about all his teammates. Like, ain't nobody got time for that in L.A. They do not want that, especially when they just drafted Justin Herbert, who is the future. If they just had Tyrod Taylor and they want to bring Cam in and ride on the Cam Express and see if it works out, fine. But you're not bringing in former MVP font savant Cam Newton to be with Justin Herbert and Tyrod. It doesn't make sense. They looked and he said no, just like I guess everybody else is.
I'm with Kyle on that. Three's a crowd. It would have been fine if they did it in March right out of the gates when he got released and we're like, all right, we're going to go with Cam Newton. Here's our plan. We're going to build around Cam Newton. We've got our guys, a former MVP. We're going to sell tickets with Cam Newton jerseys. But they didn't. So at this point, I just don't think three quarterbacks who are all viable starters in one quarterback room, with one of them being one of the biggest personalities in the league, who could potentially be the third on the depth chart if he's not healthy out of the gates, it doesn't help the team as a whole. And it certainly doesn't make fiscal sense. So I would say, as much as we love Cam Newton, I don't see LA as a viable place to be. And shout out to the Zach Gelb show. Yesterday, we got that Jim Kelly quote. Today, we get this one. Keep on lining up those guests, Zach. We will take the fodder.
We love that. And that aside, of course, the developing young talent over the past 4 years since Cam's MVP, Tyrod actually does have a better winning percentage. He's led the team to just as many playoff appearances as Cam. Okay, let's talk Colts now. My Colts. Frank Reich took the virtual podium yesterday, telling reporters just how long he thinks my guy, Lip Rivers, will play.
We're in this together, and as long as Phillip wants to play, he wants to be here. It's the NFL. We know he's got to prove it. We got to prove it. as a team that to keep him wanting to play. So I can just tell you from the previous relationship, I really believe it's Philip's intent to play multiple years. I personally believe he is more than capable of multiple years.
Music to my ears, Kyle Brandt, you know I love him. But let's say Coach Reich's maybe just saying the right things. Let's say he's not. Believe it or not, Philip Rivers will have multiple shots to win a title with the Colts.
Of course not. No, sorry. Sorry. Listen, I love these old quarterbacks. I almost cried in 7A because Roethlisberger shaved his beard. But what has Phil Rivers done in his career, let's just be honest here, to make you think, yeah, championships with Indianapolis? This has been a guy who's been very good and just hasn't gotten over the hump. And I saw somebody say recently, well, Philip Rivers has never had a run game like he's going to have in Indianapolis. Philip Rivers had a running back with 31 touchdowns in one season. Guys, he's had everything. He's had everything you could ever afford to a quarterback. Sometimes there's guys who just aren't there. And I know Frank Reich has made an entire career, lifestyle, and following based on me saying things like this right now, and everyone has over the years. But I see Mahomes, I see Lamar, I see really good quarterbacks in the AFC, and I see Phil changing teams and cities and not meeting with his team and not acclimating. And even if he had, I've seen a lot of Phil Rivers football. It's always been very good. Never quite been great. And I know that's not the nicest thing to say, but what am I supposed to do here? It's no big deal.
Yeah, it's a tough segment to do because anyone in the NFL can win a Super Bowl. I've seen Nick Foles win a Super Bowl as a backup quarterback. And last year I saw the San Francisco 49ers have a shot at a title with the. So this is so vague that I would say, yes, of course, Phil Rivers can do it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, however it is. Is it legitimate right now to say that Phil Rivers is the favorite in the AFC South? That's a tough one. Is it legitimate to say he's a favorite in the AFC? No. There's Lamar and Watson and Mahomes just waiting for him. But I would love to see it. This would be the best chapter of Philip Rivers' career. What a stamp it would be that he ends up in Indianapolis with his old offensive coordinator, Frank Reich, and they find a way to win in Peyton Manning's old building, and he's the guy and the whole thing. It's just a lot right now at that age to think that he's suddenly going to turn it around with a team that wasn't very good down the stretch last year.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between keeping it real and keeping it realistic. Keeping it real, we're all fans of Philip Rivers. Let's just call it what it is. We all want to see him win a ring. We're all fans of his career, his resume, and we know that him winning a Super Bowl would solidify a Hall of Fame career. But keeping it realistic, he's a guy of a certain age, and we can't talk about Big Ben at his age being banged up and Drew Brees, tap dancing around the elder statesman age of quarterbacks and Tom Brady being the greatest of all times, but he's in his mid-40s, and not mention the fact that Philip Rivers was born in 1981. And I know that because I was born in 1981. So I've always looked at Philip Rivers as a mirror reflection of myself. So I've been so happy to see him play so well over the course of his career, but there's so many guys that are younger, faster, stronger, and they're just ready to take a seat at the throne. And Philip Rivers has never sat on the throne as the undisputed best quarterback in the business. And the reason I bring up his age is because at that time, the video games that were popular were like Frogger and Miss Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Galaga. And you're like, Nate, well, why are you bringing those up? Because we weren't in the era of playing video games and hitting some magical button that could save your progress. So you can't just pick it up year after year. You can't pick it up day after day. The reason I bring that up is because unless Philip Rivers' game is on at the end of the season, unless he leaves that game on, he's not going to be able to pick it up the following year. So if you die or the game isn't good or you get hurt or the team isn't successful, guess what? There's going to be a complete reset at the quarterback position like we all woke up to every single day. That's why our era of video games was much better than the new era, and that's just something I had to throw in there.
Amazing.
We're loving it. Kyle, you must love that.
I used to leave on my double dribble for like 24 hours overnight just so I could pick up the game the next day. Maybe Phil could do the same thing. It is Indiana. It's a basketball state.
Assuming he has it this year, this team is built to contend. And of course, this one is they just won the Super Bowl. We've got some takes coming up next, Peter specifically.